Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Unconventional Outdoorsman. Today we're going to be going over some of the best soft plastics. As you can see, I've got quite a few in my hand. We're going to be going over some of the best soft plastics for the summer. It's starting to warm up pretty much all over the country. Soft plastics are a very good choice if you're going to be fishing during the summer months. You know, some of the best times to fish during the summer, early morning to the late morning to late afternoon into middle of the evening before it gets dark, because during the time of the midday, like right now it's approximately 2:10 p.m. in the afternoon, it gets very hot. The fish aren't going to bite as well, but those times, like I said, in the early morning and in the afternoon are going to do extremely well to be fishing. So let's get right into it. So one of my favorite baits, of course, to fish in the summer is a ribbon-tail worm. Now I've got quite a few. I've got a few in my arsenal, but here we've got a Zoom Super Salt Plus Mag 2. This looks like to be an 8-ounce worm, or an 8-inch worm, excuse me. So something like this. Now colors, I will be making a separate video about that for the summer colors you want. This is a watermelon red. Now a ribbon-tail worm is very simple. One of the most simple baits you can use fishing as a fisherman if you're getting into fishing. So I've got some hooks here. Let's see if this zipper wants to open. I'll take it out. So these are some basically finesse worm hooks. So let me just open this up and show you some of the most basic ways to rig this up. I don't have a bullet weight on me, but you basically can use this weedless or just regular if you don't want to go weedless. Had to bite that part off of it. So you've got that here. Now I'm gonna go just basic weedless style. Now your bullet weight you're going to want to put on first. Put on, I use like 3/16 ounce, a 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce, depending on what type of water you're doing. I fish a lot of creeks around here, so I'll probably be going with a smaller version of this, like a 4-inch to a 7-inch. If I'm fishing open water, I'll do an 8-inch, maybe even a 10-inch, depending on how the fish are biting into all that. So we're going to do it like this. And that's basically a very simple way to rig up your bait, something weedless like that. You know, fish it mid-water, slow, fast, however the fish like it where you are. So ribbon-tail worms are some of the best baits to fish during the summer. I know this says a finesse worm hook. This is a little thing here. But these little keepers right here are some of the best to be able to keep your baits on and have to use less baits, because right now you can hardly find baits with all the craziness that is going on in the world. And so you definitely, that and regular plain shank worm hooks are good too. But yeah, so that is ribbon-tail worms. We're going to go on to the next one. This video will be quite long, so please bear with me. I would love to have you all stay with me. So another one of my favorites, this is probably my favorite for this time of year. It's mid-June, stuff like that. Midnight's running around. This is a lizard. So lizards, basically, they are what the name is. Tons of brands make them. I've got Zoom here. I'm a big fan of Zoom. Berkley makes them. You can get some off-brand like Bass Pro Shops that are pretty good. Basically, any brand that makes soft plastics makes lizards. So lizards just looks like a lizard. You know, summer months will be out and about, swimming sometimes, and you rig it up just like I showed you the ribbon-tail worm. So you do that. I like to fish these more slow and a lot more cover. For example, brush, underneath trees in the shade. And I like to let it sink a little bit, then reel it in very slow. And I tend to get a lot more bites that way than any other. This looks to be, what color is this? This is a green pumpkin candy red. This is a very good color. For example, if you've got muddy water, this would probably be something good. Something with a good bit of flakiness in it. As you can see, all those purple, green, and red fleck in there that are going to allow you to allow the fish rather to see the bait and to be able to see it better and, you know, attack, and you can reel in them fish. So that is lizards. They are very good bait for the summer, especially here in the Midwest, up north, down south, anywhere there are largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, spotted bass, etc. I've caught actually drum on those, so it's a pretty versatile bait. Can't forget the Senkos. I've got a conglomeration of Senkos here. Big bite baits. Senkos, very easy bait. You can rig them up tons of ways. Shaky head, Texas rig. You can drop shot them, I think. You know, cut them down, fish them slow, fish them fast, wacky rig them, all kinds of different things. So black and blue is definitely a good color. A watermelon or a green pumpkin color with some red flake in it. Do not underestimate red flake in your baits. Red tends to make fish bass a little bit more aggressive, which I have noticed that is true in my few years of fishing. So Senkos are a very good bait to use. I'm only going to go over a few of these. Next, flukes. Flukes, just like the lizards, are a very good summertime bait. So I've got some smart baits here. I got this in a mystery tackle box a few months ago, and they make a lot of cool baits. It looks like you can see all the kinds on the back there. So a fluke basically looks kind of like a shad. This is like a red shad color, and the cool things about these baits, I think they change color in the water. So that is pretty cool. So for example, it's going to be this color when you put it well, before you put it in the water. Then I don't know what color it changes into. Probably like a green or a purple once you get it in the water. But as you can see all these flakes in here, that's really going to do good. Now, one of the best ways you can rig it is some of the best ways, Texas rigging it. That's basically the only way I would fish it. Maybe on the end of a spinner bait too, to add a little bit more vibrations and give it a bigger presentation. So put the hook through the back, or you can, weedless it pretty easy. As you can see, there's some ribs down in here. You can hide the shank of your hook in if you'd like. Pretty simple bait. It's a very easy bait to use. One of my favorite ways, again, is casting it into some cover, let it sink, and then just jerk it slightly, reel in, nice and easy. Nothing too fancy, not too fancy, not too fast, not too slow, stuff like that. So that's 3 baits that are doing pretty good. I'm going to go over a couple more. Craws. Craws are a huge thing to use in the summer, whether you're using them on jigs, regular Texas rigging them, or anything you want to do. With them drop shotting if you're up north in some clear water. If you're going clear water, I recommend a smaller presentation, for example, smallmouth. A color like this is some Bass Pro. This is a craw, crack craw. What color is that? Looks like green pumpkin violet. So you got some little violet flake in there. And this is a very small bait. For example, I said around here where I live in central Missouri, I use a lot of smaller presentation baits to fish the creeks compared to where I used to live. I used to use a lot of big presentation baits. But what I would do, I'd take probably a smaller hook, maybe something that maybe a little bit smaller than this, and I would, probably Texas rig this. This is very good for like some finesse jigs too, which I hopefully will be making some videos here soon. I'm thinking about going up to a lake in northern Missouri and doing some bass fishing, crappie fishing, bass fishing, cat fishing, stuff like that. So it's a very good bait. Really, you can get into craws relatively easy. You can get a nice bag of baits, Bass Pro, Cabela's, Walmart, any place that sells bait. You can get a few packs in for like 20 bucks. Especially right now, they've got some sales going on. There is probably a disruption in the supply chain with everybody wanting to be outside and fishing during quarantine. So yeah, that is a good thing to do. That's some craws. One of my favorite types of craws, it's on the border of a creature bait, is the Googan Baits Bandito Bug. This is in black blue flake. Another color that is really good is Okeechobee craw, especially for dirtier water. For example, after rain. I've noticed in my years of fishing, right before a big storm front comes in or right at the time, it's either really good fishing or the fishing's going to be dead. So don't be afraid to go out there and experiment and see what works. Sometimes when the storm comes in, when they're really hitting, they'll bite anything. They'll bite a plain hook. So don't be afraid to try out new baits. Googan baits are a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones I've shown you here, but they are very good. I've caught tons of fish. I've probably caught 50 bass on this bait here, this exact type of bait this year. So what a Bandito bug is, it's basically kind of like a craw thing, kind of like a creature bait too, I guess. This is black blue. They make like 12, 15 different colors. Pick them up at Walmart, Academy, Bass Pro, etc. My favorite way to use this is on the Texas rig. You put about a 1/4 ounce weight there, and you fish it as like a midwater bait. A very, not slow but not fast. Right in the middle there. You can reel it in there, and it's also very good on jigs. I've caught my personal best with a Bandito bug in a jig, flipping it into cover and twitching it just a little bit to get those bedding bass and post-spawn bass to hit. Now, since it is post-spawn, fish are going to be a little bit lighter since they've spawned out and they're not eating as much, relatively. But they're going to be biting quite a bit. Summertime is one of my favorite times to fish. You get a lot more warmth, a lot more sunlight, allows for a bigger variety of fish to be caught. So that's craws. So the last thing we're going to look at here today is swim baits. Now I only have one pack of them here. I've got some more in my tackle bags, but this is Excite Baits. Made in USA. I'm always a big fan of the Made in USA stuff. So this is a Shad Nasty Quicksilver color. It's a high floater. So for example, you could use this as a topwater. Put basically a lighter hook on it with a shank, like a little bit longer shank, light, and you could just fish it on top or top water almost, and maybe get some of the bites in early morning or late afternoon. Just like the Fluke, this one has ribs, so you can conceal, for example, maybe a weighted hook a little bit better if you want to fish it a little bit deeper. This looks to be probably about a 4-inch bait here. Now, you can use swim bait hooks. That's one of my favorite ways to fish on rivers and lakes with this type of bait. Having ribs on your bait really help. It adds texture for the fish to grab on and just feels good in the hand. Also, it adds more vibrations when it is in the water. So that is something that is very nice. This has got a lot of things going on here. As you can see, there's tons of different flakes in there. You've got, from what I can see, you've got some orange, gold, green, and you've got that green on the back of the bait here, which is very nice. It fades out towards the bottom. But paddle tails, some of the, I'd say this is probably in the top 3 best summer baits, whether you Texas rig it, put it on the end of a spinner bait or a buzz bait, jig, swim bait hook, anything like that. So yeah, let's go over real quick a little cliff note. So you've got the swim bait, you've got the Flukes, you've got craws, Senkos, worms, and lizards. So leave a comment down below. Which one of these baits of these soft plastics is your favorite to use during the summer? I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, if you're still watching, please do me a huge favor and click that subscribe button if you haven't. And once you click that subscribe button, man, I can't speak English. Hit the notification bell to all notifications. That way you know every time we post a new video here over at The Unconventional Outdoorsman. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and peace.